blessing, has been of huge blessing to every one of us in the past. And I have no doubt that this year's edition is going to be super amazing. And that is why I'm welcoming you to this program once again. I know you are royalty yourself for you to have embraced this kind of value at this moment. I welcome everybody. So I will not like I would have said maybe we should introduce ourselves and ask like tell us who you are and all that. But hopefully maybe after the first section we'll be having that, or probably after the second section. But I just want us to go straight into the business today. Because all our speakers are already ready for us, and they are prepared to dish out what the Lord what the Lord has in stock for us, and for us to have a remarkable day. So I have no doubt within me that we will be blessed mightily. So I think we should celebrate ourselves in case we cannot introduce us. Celebrate yourself wherever you are, that you are here. You are here for this program, Tribe Way Life Network. And I also want us to celebrate our division now of this great program, who happens to actually be our first speaker, because he's actually a great person that must start this kind of speaking, actually, because we'll get to know a lot from our section. So he's going to set the foundation for other great speakers that will be coming up. So I want us to celebrate Mrs. Itunuoluwa Onifade and Pastor Samson Onifade. Please come on, help me to celebrate them. I think I'm happy with this response I'm getting already. I love the club that is already coming in, and they celebrate them. It takes somebody who is visionary to pull up something of this kind, especially in a world where everything is now almost upside down, where people are prioritizing money over relationship, money over parents, and money over life. So I think if we have this kind of programs, it's going to help. This program has blessed even me myself. At least I was at the second edition last year. I got a lot of value. Then I just got married like a month thereabout, and I got some values I held very close to my heart, and it has been working. So thank God for this platform. So on this note, I will be bringing in Miss Itunuoluwa for the first section. I would like to read. I believe everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, just send send anything on the group. Let me just see. Hello, can we hear me? So that we'll be sure. I think Miss Miracle has said
Yes, we can
something.
hear you.
Oh, amazing. So I want to really just give a short bow about our speaker so that we can actually know the kind of person that will be coming up. I'm blessed to know her, and I know many of us that knows her will know that what I'm saying is actually true. And I'm also, by extension, I'm privileged to know Pastor Samson Ifade. They have been a great duo, a blessing, and an amazing personality. So, but to make it more official now, let me quickly read out Mrs. Itunuoluwa Onifade's citation. Mrs. Itunuoluwa Onifade is a distinguished developmental psychologist uh, and family life therapist with over 5 years of professional experience. She is the visionary and the host of Parent to Be Conference, an event dedicated to equipping expectant parents with the knowledge and tools necessary for building a strong and healthy family foundation. You see, like I told you, she's a woman of substance. Itunuoluwa currently is a facility manager and lead psychologist at A&D Reference Services Center, a prominent drug rehabilitation facility. In her role at A&D, she has successfully managed many clients struggling with substance and alcohol addiction. Our approach integrates evidence-based practice to ensure effective recovery, focusing on holistic family life therapy that helps reduce dysfunction and promote family dynamics. Certified through the Colombo Plan Drug Advisory Program in the Universal Treatment Curriculum for Substance Disorder (UTC), Itunuoluwa is highly skilled in delivering quality care for individuals battling addiction. She holds a BSc and Master's degree in developmental psychology from the Primary University of Ibadan, providing her with a robust foundation in psychological development and addiction therapy. Her passion for family life education extends beyond addiction recovery as she actively works to empower families to create nurturing environments where all members can thrive. As an advocate for mental health and family life education, Itunuoluwa has hosted numerous conferences and online sections, offering guidance to diverse audiences Her expertise and commitment to family life preparation have made her a sought-after speaker in this area. In her personal life, she's married with 2 children. Her personal and professional experiences fuel her dedication to help individuals and families thrive, especially those navigating the complexity of parenting and family life. With a clapping ovation, everyone, I want you to join me as I welcome the visionary of the Parent to Be conference for the first foundational speech of this great conference, Parent to Be Conference 3.0. You are welcome, ma.
Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning, and it's my pleasure to welcome every one of us to Parents to Be Conference 3.0, the 2025 edition. And I'm so glad for the grace God has given us to actually be a partaker of this conference again in 2025. It has been God's grace all the while. And I want to welcome every one of us. It's not easy. It was this one year I was just thinking that, how come? Like, why did you put the first session at 8 a.m. for crying out loud? Like, people will still be enjoying their sleep. But we just feel like, okay, let's just start the first 2 sessions early in the morning before people go about, doing their, Saturdays, Owambe, and all of those things that we like to do. And then we converge again in the evening for the second session. So permit us to crave your indulgence that I know that by now you should be enjoying your sleep and still be coiling under your doofy. But, we just have to, do what we need to do, and get the knowledge that we need to get, not for us again, not for our own generations any longer, but for the generations to come. I really salute every one of us here, and I also salute our host, Mr. Olaoluwa. He did this with us last year, and again, we are here again. Thank you so much. I would also like to honor my husband who is here. My husband, he has been very supportive. We are in this together. So help me really, really honor him.
You
Pastor
are
Sam
welcome, sir.
Uniform. Thank you so, so, so much for this great privilege. And so, as we start, I would like us to grab our, our pens and papers and we just go through the journey together. Looking back, I'm considering, so for this year, it's been a journey actually since 2022. It's been a journey, and it started with a burden to see to it that we create an environment for children to thrive. And that was why Parents to Be Conference came to be. And it started 2022. In 2022, we look at the theme preparing for parenting, and we discuss so many things in that session. And then, of course, the vision gets clarity over time. And in 2024, we looked at how to build solid foundation for a strong family. From our past conferences, we now discover that in building strong foundation for, in building strong foundation for a strong family, it has to start with, two awesome individuals coming together to build that foundation. And then we started looking at trauma and all of those things. And this year we say, okay, let's consider the theme looking back, breaking generational patterns, negative generational patterns. And so today I'll be speaking on looking back, the skill of reflection. And before we explore the skill of reflection as a skill, let's first understand why looking back matters at all. Let's look at why looking back matters at all. The first thing that we need to understand is that humans are created as intergenerational. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for how far you have helped us. Let's close our eyes to pray. Lord, we thank you for how far you have helped us from 2022 that Parents to Be Conference started. You have been our God. You have been our guide. Thank you for a great opportunity again. Thank you for the gift of seeing. Thank you for the participants. Thank you for everything that you are going to help us to do this year again. Thank you for the convergence of singles, newlyweds, those that are already parenting. And we know and we trust you that you will do much more than you have done in the past. You will do it in our lives in Jesus' name. You will impact our lives. You will deliver us. You will heal us. And you will give us the gift of seeing so that we can see and look back and begin to break patterns that we need to break. Thank you because you are always in the realms of affairs of humans, and you are always in the affairs in the affairs of actually restoring your people back to you. And today we know you will do more than you have promised us. You will do more than we are even expecting from this conference. And our everyone there connected here will be blessed, will be transformed, and our lives will not remain the same again. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen, amen, amen. So let's go straight. Why must we look back? Why must we look back in breaking generational patterns? Why do we need to look back? Another, there is a common saying that says that if we do not understand the past, we will not make sense of we will not be able to make sense of the present, and we will not be able to improve the future. So there is need to actually look back into our history. As a way of introduction, humans are created as intergenerational beings. God designed us to transfer blessing, legacy, capacity from one generation to the other. As humans, we are created to be intergenerational. That means that our ancestors that have gone before us, that we think they've died, they did not really actually died, because we, the progenitors, are still living on earth. And so we have their imprints in us. We have their DNA in us. We have some of the things that has been transferred in us. And that was the original intention of God. If God had wanted us to be separate individuals, that means he would have been in the business of creating human beings again and again and again and again, again and again, just like the way he created Adam and Eve. He would have just said, okay, I'm creating Adam and Eve today. Tomorrow I'll create next tomorrow I'll create something. But he didn't do that, because he actually really puts a DNA that should be transferred from one generation to another. And he has created a structure and a system for us to actually really pass on the baton from one generation to another. So as human beings, I think that's the first thing that we need to note in today's session, that we are intergenerational. Intergenerational means that we have the capacity to transfer transfer blessings, transfer potentials from one generation to another. And this was the mandate in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. He said, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, fill the earth and subdue it, dominate. That was the mandate that was given to Adam. And that was the mandate that was meant to be transferred from one generation to another. Come with me, because we are going on a journey. We are going on a journey. Of course, what we are trying to do is break, generational patterns, but we need to actually go back as when the earth was formed, when the first human beings was created, to let us understand what are the patterns that we need to break. Now, every family carries that imprint, that divine imprint, the imprint of multiplicity. And little wonder whereby maybe you look at a father and a mother, maybe you see one character and the other. You also can actually see it again in their children. But somehow, it carries like a multiplier effect. It carries a multiplier. Once something is being passed, once character, DNA or something is being passed from one generation to another, it carries multiplier effect, because it has been said in that mandate that God gave. Multiply. Secondly, strength, creativity, potentials, purpose, legacies have been transferred from one generation to another. And the blessings also have been transferred. But we may be wondering that, what happened to us? Why are they still striving? Why are they still struggling to survive? Whereas we have been given a mandate to thrive. Why are families still struggling, to survive? The simple thing is the fall and its effects. Sin disrupted God's order. It is not only spiritual separation, it carried deep psychological consequences. When Adam and Eve, fell in the first, at the creation time, sin happened, and the old God's order of multiplicity, fruitfulness, dominion, subduing the heart, filling the earth, was actually disrupted. They still carry that seed, but somehow the sin and the consequences of that sin mask the potential of the blessing. And that was what was transferred. And we look at it, and the psychological effect has not burnt. Shame came, and they were afraid. They said they were naked, and they were running skater, hiding from God, that they used to be friends before, talk together. They created an intimate. Let me know in the chat room if you are still following me. So, these are ways by which, the God's order was disrupted by sin, and it also has psychological effects. And in a functional home, whereby the father and the mother were together, Adam and Eve were together, playing together, doing all sorts of things together, naming animals, doing everything together, and it started when sin came. Blame games happened. They started blaming. Adam started blaming God. Are you not the one that gave me a wife that made me fall? Eve started blaming the serpent, and they started blaming. There was blame game. There was guilt. They were filled with guilt. They were filled with fear and insecurity. Come along with me. We are going somewhere. Fragmentation in the family. What was meant to be wholesome, multiplying lineage, became wounded. Then they became wounded, reactive and dysfunctional. Shame, blame, guilt, fear, insecurity then happened to them. And the family that was meant to be wholesome as a family now became dysfunctional. And that was the origin of dysfunctional family, dysfunctionalities in family. And we can see how it degenerates to their children. How come the first family, how come will Cain even think of, killing his brother? Even not because he has seen it happened between the relationship between their father and their mother. They were already playing blame game. They were, guilt, stripping themselves. They were doing all sorts of things. They were angry with themselves, causing resentment, bitterness, and all of those things. And these are like root problems, the psychological root problems of dysfunctional families. We are going somewhere. Now, sometimes because of what has been transferred, don't forget that we said we are intergenerational in nature. So what means is that instead of them to now transfer wholesomeness to their children, instead of them to transfer healing states to their children, instead of them to transfer thriving states to their children, because they were whole. God created them whole. The Bible says that when he saw it, he saw that it was good, and God was pleased with what he created. God created them wholesomely, but they couldn't transfer that wholesomeness. They couldn't transfer that blessing wholesomely to their children. And so they transferred it with dysfunctionalities. And that was why Cain could actually think of, killing his brother, because he was insecure. Insecurity set in. He was insecure. He was insecure that their family is not a safe place again. And because curse has been placed upon them as well, and they were surviving, they were struggling to survive rather than thrive. And that was the beginning of dysfunctionalities in the family. Cain now became estranged. He was lost. He was cut off from the family entirely. That was the beginning of estrangement in the family. And many people believe that, nothing is wrong with me. I came from a well-to-do family. My dad is very good. He's so religious, spiritual. Yes, we may be spiritual in nature, we may be religious in nature. But if we do not really, really understand the salient patterns that has been transferred from our generations before us down to us, we will not actually really fulfill the mandate of God for our lives. And what is the mandate that we said earlier? God bless them to multiply, to be fruitful, to subdue the earth, and to dominate. That is the mandate. And if we are not fulfilling these blessings, then that means we are out of order. we are part of original plan and God's purpose for our lives. And that is why we need to look keenly to actually what are the patterns that has been transferred. Adam transferred shame, guilt, insecurity, guilt, fear. And that was why he could lose Cain. And he lost Abel too, because it was out of insecurity that Cain had, that he could actually really think of murdering his brother, of killing his brother. And that was what has been transferred. And that actually really has masked the blessing. It's not that the blessing is not still there, not that the potential for us to multiply and impact our world is not there, but the pain, the trauma, and the dysfunction that has been transferred from generation before us has actually really masked that blessing and that potential to be really who God wants us to be. And sometimes we may say there are no obvious crises in our family, but dysfunction is not only in poverty. Dysfunction is not only in divorce, and dysfunction is not only in abuse. Let's be putting some of the highlights so that I can know that you are following us. Let's be putting some highlights in the chat room so that it can be more engaging. Dysfunction is not only in poverty. Dysfunction is not only in absence of crisis. Dysfunction is not only in divorce. It also includes unseen subtle deviations from God's intention, where purpose, identity, and divine mandate is not being fulfilled. Dysfunction is not only what in divorce, abuse, or poverty. It also includes unseen subtle deviation for God's intention, where we cannot fulfill God's purpose and mandate for our lives, where we cannot actually really, be in the identity God has called us and also fulfill the divine mandate in our lives. That is where dysfunction comes in, when we are not able to actually be functional in the ability to multiply, to be fruitful, to dominate, to subdue the earth. You'll be wondering that, I don't know how many of us have, read Outliers. Why is it that only 1% of population of a generation is actually outliers, global, making impacts? What happens to the remaining 90% of the population? So many people are struggling to survive, whereas we have been given a blessed mandate. We have been given mandates. But these patterns that have been transferred from one generation to another has actually really crippled our potential to push them blessings, to manifest that blessings, and to actually really make true impacts in our lives and in our generation. And so if we would not have the ability to multiply, to make true impact. And so this is like a good point for us to reflect. Am I actually really fulfilling that mandate in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28? If not, then there is likelihood of dysfunctions in our lives. If we are struggling to actually express ourselves, if we are facing resistance, limitations to actually really impact our generations, to actually really bet the solution, because every child came to the world with potentials and with seed of greatness. So the prayer that you shall be great is not actually a prayer. We are already great people. God will not create something that is not worthwhile. So every creature, every created human beings, we are already great. Right from newborn or someone that is already being conceived. The person is great because he's carrying seeds of greatness into the world. He's coming with solutions that will actually really solve problems in our society and make our society a better place. And so it's not a matter of, I'm going to work 9 to 5. I'm earning a good, income. I'm living comfortable life. I have a car to drive. I have 2 children to take care for. I am living well. It's beyond that. We have to move from just, trying to survive to actually really also making impacts in our generation. So it's not just because, I can feed for my family. My children can actually really go to schools, the best of schools. Beyond that, because our life is greater than what we actually really think. We have eternal blessing. We have eternal seed in us. So the real question is, are you passing on blessing or limitations? Or should I ask that, Have we truly really laid hold of the blessing, the inheritance we have received, or we are still struggling with the pains, the limitations that come with the blessing? What gets passed down? Research has confirmed that our childhood experiences shape our adulthood. Our childhood experiences shape our adulthood. But deeper still, our parents' childhood and their parents' childhood also shape us. What does that mean? If our childhood experiences shape who we are today, so many researches have actually really supported that. If our childhood experiences shape shape our adulthood today, then our parents' childhood, do you understand it now? Our parents' childhood also shape us because we were parented from the way they were also parented. And that is how that generational patterns happen. They parented us the way they were parented. They parented us from their own childhood experiences. And that is called intergenerational transmission. We inherit thinking patterns. We inherit emotional response. We inherit attachment styles. We inherit belief system. We inherit family narratives. We inherit coping strategies. We inherit belief systems. How we believe, how we perceive the world. Those are some of the things we inherit from our parents. And those are the things they also inherited from their own parents. And it can go on and go on and go on and that. So that is intergenerational transmission. We inherit parenting models, some through explicit teachings. Don't trust these people. It can be explicit patterns. There are sometimes, our parents just say, please, these are the peoples we don't trust. Please don't move close to these people. And it happens in almost every family, that even in extended family, we have some sort of offense, bitterness, or something that, these people, they are not good to us. Don't relate with them. Those are bitterness. And, patterns, mistrust. The world is not safe. These are some of the ways you must behave and all of that. They may say it's like explicit to us like that. And sometimes it may be implicit. That means that those things are passed through modeling. And most of these patterns are passed down to us through modeling. The way we see them talk to people, the way we see them react to people, the way we see them handle finances in people, the way we see all of those things are passed down to us. Sometimes through values without balance. Sometimes they may give us values like contentment without balance, probably maybe without or some sort of ambition, being ambitious, or complacency being passed down, procrastinations, and some of these things actually really limit us and inhibit us from actually really fulfilling the mandate God has for us. Now, here is the tension. The same people who pass down pain to us also pass down strengths, potentials, gifts to us. There are legacies that run through families. There are different legacies. And sometimes the essence of this conference is for us to actually really go back and reflect on both legacies and negative patterns that needs to be broken. Because if we do not break the negative patterns being transferred to us, we will not have the energy to actually really see the blessings that comes through our lineage. Blessings run through lineage. Have you ever noticed maybe families that probably maybe creativity is just top notch in their family? Creativity is being passed down from one generation to another. As I'm speaking now, remember the family of Adenugas. You see what they are doing. I remember the family of Mike Bamiloyes, the founder of Mosaic Fame. And I also remembered, some other families like that, whereby what you see in the parents, you can also see in the children, and you can also see in their grandchildren. They have been able to pass down the legacies to them. But the issue is that trauma often shouts louder than the blessings. Negative patterns, if we are not careful to break it, and this is the generation that will break it. Negative patterns, negative programming, negative thinking patterns often shout louder because they come with pain. often shout louder than the blessings that we have received, crippling the blessings to manifest, crippling the legacies to be passed down. That is why we need to actually be careful and, understand what are the patterns to be break. So let's check what are the common negative patterns, what are the dysfunctions in the family that has been passed down from one generation to another. Number one is poor communication. Poor communication, silence treatments, yelling, criticism, blame game, guilt stripping. Even in Genesis, we see that pattern, Adam and Eve, and communication collapse. And this has ripple effects even on the children. Because when there is poor communication, where there is criticism, where there is blame game, you don't have a feeling that you are in a home. And don't forget, the order that God has given us is that our family will be a safe place. Because we know that the world out there is not safe. But our home, our family, supposed to be what? A safe place for people to stay, for people to say, okay, I'm facing pressures outside. Let me come back inside and be saved. But coming back inside, you are faced with criticism. You should have done this. You don't know how to do this. You are not good enough. Poor communications. Number two, unhealthy boundaries. Either overly rigid, nobody comes in, or too loose. Everybody is in everything. Unhealthy boundaries. Number three, emotional unavailability. Inability to validate feelings. Inconsistency in love. Abuse. Neglect. Abuse or emotional neglect. Sexual abuse. Physical abuse. Emotional abuse. When there is presence of abuse in the family, that actually really cripple the blessings and the ability to actually really best solution. That actually really makes the family dysfunctional. These are signs of dysfunctionalities in the family. And sometimes it may be like what? It is actually the degree of deviation. As much as we know that there is no perfect family, but we must not deviate so much and become so dysfunctional that we will not actually be able to manifest the blessings God has given to our lineage. Inconsistency in love. And sometimes it can be so severe, emotional abuse. We have case of domestic violence. Maybe we have seen our parents, under maybe one of them undergo domestic violence. It has a great impact on the children. And this is not actually to blame our parents, but to actually really go and check what are some of the dysfunctionalities that has been passed down to me. Now, on a lighter mode, I was listening to a video. It was not yesterday. My husband sent it to me and said, you can actually add it to your talk this morning. And it was a preacher that was talking about, parents. The children actually saw their parents, the child, now an adult, never saw the father ever washed clothes, and this is not like a rule or something. And so his fiancé was now telling him to say thank you telling him to say thank you for washing his clothes for him. He said, in all my years, ever since I've been living with my parents, my daddy never washed his clothes, and he never said thank you. So look at that. And so that entitlement mentality has been passed down from his own father to. What about, domestic violence, beating and abuse, severe abuse? I also saw a video whereby a couple, before they got married, the husband has been complaining, I hate my father, I hate my mom. I said, the people were not, the fears was not saying, you shouldn't hate, you are okay now. You are okay now. You have come out okay. You need to forgive your parents. You need to do that. She said, okay, but you don't understand. Now, when he got married, he did the same thing. Even with the awareness that, I don't want to, he repeated the same pattern of domestic violence in his own family too. Until they began to seek therapy, and knowing that beneath that domestic violence is inability to control emotions, emotional dysregulation. These are patterns. What of addiction? Sometimes some people are so hooked with addiction. I have so many things to say about addictions because this is where I've been working for the past, this is a field I've been working for the past 6 years. And I know that patterns run in family. And addiction is just one outcome of so many dysfunctionalities in family. It may not be direct parents. Maybe one person in the extended family or somehow is struggling with addiction. Mental health challenges, we don't talk about it so much, but I know that in the second session, the psychiatrists will talk about, medical, challenges and mental health challenges that might have been transferred from one generation to another. These untreated issues, unhealed trauma, can also be transferred from one, from one generation to another. Dysfunctional roles. Let's quickly run. I'm running out of time. Dysfunctional roles means that sometimes more often than not, maybe you can put it in the chat room if you actually agree with me. Sometimes we have unspoken roles in our family. We have the scapegoat or the black sheep of the family. And see, this one is the most stubborn of us. The golden child, the child with the trophy, is always coming with first class. Is always coming with the first position and he's always receiving praise from the parents. He's the one receiving much compliments. Golden child, the child with the trophy. Or parentified child, parentification, whereby the child actually acts as a parent. He's the one in position of a parent, taking care of his younger ones and even taking care of the children. As a child, it is actually a dysfunction in the family, whereby you are made an adult as a child. And that means that the emotional needs of the person are not being met. The lost child. Some people feel so unsafe in their family that they become estranged from their family. These are dysfunctions in family. And these are things that run. These are patterns that run that we need to actually, pay attention to. Secrecy, don't talk, don't tell anyone, nothing happened. Keeping some unhealthy patterns secrets. Immorality in the family, maybe father or the mother committing adultery and affecting the children. Power struggle, manipulation and guilt. Favoritism, unhealthy competition. Estrangement, emotional or physical cutoff when the environment becomes safe. Please, how many of us can relate to what I've been sharing? How many of us can relate to it? Please, let's put it in the comment section. If you can relate or if you think that one or two patterns actually runs in your family, kindly put it in the chat room. I really want us to engage. Let me know in the chat room. What are some of the things that actually really, run in your family? What are some things that you have, from what I've just said now, what are some of the things that you can relate with in your family? Kindly put it in the chat room. I've mentioned poor communication, secrecy, addiction, mental health issues, parentification, where the child is made to be an adult as early as a child, manipulation, power struggle, favoritism. Let me know if in the chat room you understand what I'm saying. Kindly put it in the chat room so that we have a clear understanding that we are actually following. Thank you. Said they are real. Yes, yes. Poor communication. Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes. These things are real. And so, how do we break, the patterns? I still need more confirmations. Let's put it in the chat room so that I will understand. I will have a feel that we understand what we are saying. How do we break these patterns? I know that in our coming sessions and everything, we'll still be enlightened more about some patterns that actually really runs in the family. How do we break these patterns? Number one tool in breaking pattern is reflection. Number one tool in breaking patterns is what? Reflection. Let's put it in the chat room. You cannot break what you cannot see. You can't break what you cannot see. Reflection is the number one tool in breaking patterns. You'll be wondering, does that mean that people are not seeing this pattern? Maybe you are in the chat room today, you'll be like, I don't want this thing that my mom does. I don't want this thing my father does. Or I don't want this thing that runs in my family. You can't break what you cannot see. But sometimes we see, but not with the intention. So reflection is actually a deliberate process. It is a deliberate process with intention. Don't forget the other examples I made the other time. The man actually saw it, but there was no intentionality with it. He didn't take intention to say, how am I going to break this pattern? So if my father does this, just know that whatever thing that we hate to see, and that doesn't mean that they are not good people. Our ancestors are blessed. Our parents are blessed. I have seen people that caught fire, passion from their parents. I have seen people, it's even glaring in the Bible. Look at the generation Jesus came from. Look at all the imperfections and everything. Does that mean the whole lineage is bad? If it is totally bad, Jesus will have just come down from heaven and save us. But he came through a lineage. And the blessings actually came, first of all, to Adam, and then, of course, to Abraham. And that blessings was being transferred from one generation to another, about 42 generations before it got to Jesus. Jesus' generations were blessed. But at the same time, it came with some pains, imperfections, dysfunctionality. We saw in Jesus' generation a man that had 1,000 wives. We saw in Jesus' generation bad kings that did worse things. But does that mean that our whole generation is completely cursed? No, it's not. But if we are not careful, if we do not take intentionality in breaking those of these patterns that have been transferred from one generation to another, we will not be able to bring forth the blessings that come in our generation, in our lineage. In my own family, I know that, hospitality, generosity, creativity runs in our lineage. But there are some other patterns that run too. Procrastination, inability to actually, fear of the future. And that has actually really crippled the blessings that are supposed to come. I knew from my parents how they were so generous, to pastors, to strangers, adopt children. And it was wonderful, it was so surreal. But beyond that, we know that there is much more to achieve. We need to impact the world. So the first tool in breaking generational pattern is, let me quickly rush, is what? Is reflection. Thinking deeply, understanding your emotions. What is reflection? Reflection is the deliberate process of thinking deeply about your experiences, understanding your emotions and reactions, identifying patterns, learning from the past, making conscious choices for the future. Reflection is not about complaining. It's not about blaming our parents. It's not about dwelling in pain. It is awareness with intention. Let's put it in the chat room. Reflection is awareness with intention. Reflection is awareness with intentions. I'm going to quickly give us 5 key postures for effective reflections. Number 1, so let's put it in the chat room. Reflection is what? Is awareness with intention. Reflection is awareness with intention. Reflection is awareness with intention. Let me quickly actually put it, just share 5 key postures with us. The first, number 1 key in reflecting, before you start reflection, is asking God for illumination. Ask God for illumination. You can't go into a dark room and looking for patterns. You are looking for something in a dark room without light. We need God's light in our generation. If this is the generation that will break cycles in our generation, negative patterns, negative cycles, because some of these patterns are subconscious, and it is from the unconscious that we behave and we act and react and respond to our environment. And some of these things are embedded subconsciously. We cannot change what is hidden. You need light. You need God's light to reveal the roots, the secrets, and the silent patterns. The Bible says, if the foundations is destroyed, what can the righteous do? The righteous, we ask for light. We ask God for God mercy. Ask for what? Light. For illumination. We ask God for light, for illumination. Lord, shine your light upon my darkness. Shine your light upon my lineage. Let me understand. What are the hidden silent patterns? What are the secrets that you need me to know? So that I will transfer awesomeness, so that I will transfer blessing. Number 2, curiosity. We need to approach our lineage, our family of origin with curiosity. Approach your family history with open curiosity, not judgment. You will ask questions like, why do we act the way we act? Where did this belief come from? What have I seen from my parents that need not to be transferred from my generation? We need to sit down and ask those questions. Curiosity, what was happening in my parents' childhood? Curiosity opens door. There was a time in my life I started asking my mom question, what happened to you when you gave birth to me? What happened? What was your experience like? And she was sharing a lot of experience to me, even up until when I was very small. What happened, some of the experiences they had, and all of those things. Now, I was able to make sense. If even she was able to make sense of some of those things and say, Isunu, I think we made you like this, you were like this, and all of those things. And she was like, okay, we understand where we made our mistakes. We went into like a retrospective journey together. I asked them questions. What happened when you were young? Because when you were doing that, what you are trying to do is that you are trying to map out patterns that is reoccurring. When you ask them about their childhood experiences, then you even approach them with empathy. You'll be able to approach them without judgment, without blaming them, but with empathy. Sit down with them, ask questions. If they are not together with you, call them on phone, ask questions. We need to approach our history with curiosity. Number 3 thing, knowledge and self-awareness. We now have access to books. They don't. Our parents, the parents before us, our grandparents and all of that, they don't have access to what we have. Our generation is blessed. We have access to books. We have access to research. We have access to teachings, conversations like this, that our previous generation did not have. If they knew better, they would have done better. But now we must do better. Our generation have no excuse. We have no excuse in transferring the same pattern that has been transferred to us because we know better. We have access to technology. We have access to books that can actually really transform our mind. We have access to role models that can actually really change the wrong modeling that we have acquired from our childhood. We have access to information, to knowledge. So knowledge, number 3 thing is what? Knowledge and awareness, self-awareness. Number 4, which is also related to curiosity mindset, is a questioning mindset. Patterns thrive in silence, in ignorance. Healing begins when you start asking why. Number 5, consistency. Reflection is not a one-time event. If you are a single year in this meeting, I would advise that you take like about maybe the whole of 2026 and say, this is my year of understanding patterns. This is my year of understanding who I am, where I came from. This is my year of understanding what's going on with me, what has happened to me, what has happened to my family, what has happened to my parents before now. And this is my time of breaking it. Key posture, yes. Don't forget, ask God for illumination. That's number 1. Number 2, curiosity. Number 3, knowledge and self-awareness. Number 4, a questioning mindset. And number 5, consistency. Singles have advantage of time to observe, understand, and unlearn before building a home. So some of the tools that we are going to share, I know before the end of this conference, maybe before tomorrow, I'm going to share like a sort of reflection tools, some of the questions we can begin to ask ourselves and how we can begin to approach those things so that we can make sense of it. And of course, we are also planning to launch a book, especially for singles, which is called Heal Before Marriage. This book will come up maybe before 22nd of December so that we can actually have access to healing, our trauma, to healing some of these dysfunctions, to understanding these patterns so that we can be better equipped, in transferring blessings, wholesomeness, rather than negative patterns to the next generation. And it's not because we want to transfer that, so that even our life can be awesome, so that we can thrive rather than surviving. And I pray the Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Just don't forget that the upcoming release of the book Heal Before Marriage will come in and it's a practical guide packed, with reflective exercises, assessment, insight to help you break free and build from a healed foundation. It will be available before December 22nd. Thank you so much. In conclusion, looking back, it is not a weakness. It is wisdom. It is courage. It is the bridge between what was and what can be. Reflection is the key that opens the door to a new generational story. What story do you want your children to inherit from you? What story do you want your children to inherit from you? What story have you inherited? And what story do you want your children to inherit from you? What story do you want to tell the world? Are you also do you want to come with excuses that this is the reason why I couldn't impact my world. This is the reason why I didn't become who I was supposed to be. No, this is the generation that will break the cycle, and it starts from us. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you.
Wow, good. Thank you so much for that amazing and wonderful section, ma. As in, reflection is not judgment. Reflection is not a weakness. Reflection is just knowing who you are and knowing, how to approach things. What story are you getting from your parents, and what story are you leaving behind for your children? They are wonderful excerpts from those sections. If I should tell you more about what I actually learned, maybe I will be using another 30 minutes after our speaker. So I'm so glad to hear all this today, because even as myself, I just put it on speaker and my wife is also hearing, so that we can actually get a lot of value from this wonderful section. So it's a privilege to hear from you, Ma. And I know many people that have questions. Please kindly be putting down your questions, because I know Mr. Tuno will be attending to them on the group, or probably in the night to bring her up again if we have many questions. So please, let's begin to drop our question on the group chat. We will be writing them down, and we will be, we will be attending to them. So looking back, and you are breaking generational pattern, and I think we have started on a good note, which is reflection. You can't break a pattern you know nothing about. You can't break a pattern that you have not even thought about. You know, Daniel said, "I understand by book," which means he has understood the things and he discovered some things and he wanted to change them. So we are so honored, man. And I think many of us that are on this platform can agree with me that this is a very powerful section, a wonderful section, a section that is loaded. And I know that the impact of this section is going to last us a lifetime. So I'm going forward now, so that, it's still in the euphoria of the impact of this last section. I want us to also go in the same vein into the next one, another powerful one. And I told you that this conference is power packed, and back to back, you're going to be having it. You can be sure of that. So we'll be bringing on our next speaker now. I believe she's with us presently on the platform. Oh, please, if you
Yeah.
are clapping, please do it better. Please. I love the fact that some of us are clapping. Thank you so much, because this is an amazing section, man. We are so honored and we are so privileged to be hearing all this from you. Okay, going forward, please don't forget what I said earlier. Please, all our questions, please, let's send it to the group chat. I'm sure the admin will take note of them, then we'll be addressing them in the night, or probably we'll address them after now. And I also want to use the opportunity to tell us that there is a book, coming up, which is going to, help a lot, probably in journaling, in proper assessments, and all that. This book is going to be of huge help. Myself, I want to get a copy. It's just that we'll be doing the pre-launching tomorrow. So, but we have to do the awareness today so that some of us can have it in mind. It's not going to be too much. Like, the price is not so high. It's just for a token. So you can be sure. You know where is the token? Token is just token. Don't worry. You'll be able to afford it. You can even buy for as many people as you want as well. So, before we bring in up the next speaker, because it's already 9, and I want to be very, very time conscious. Another person will be bringing today, who is going to be building on the strong foundation that our first speaker, Ms. Itunuoluwa Onifade, who happens to be our host, has built. In fact, I love the fact that she's the one that started this section. Dr. Folashade Omokoro, MBCHB, MWACP. She's a senior registrar, psychiatry, mental health advocate. She's a counselor and an author. She is a senior registrar at Lawsuit and a facilitator at QHSES Leadership Academy, a trained counselor and a member of the West African College of Physicians. She is passionate about promoting mental wellness. She leads awesome teens. That's amazing. Mentoring over 200 teens monthly, and uses music. Wow. Music therapy, that's amazing. Writing and public engagement to advance mental health awareness. She's also an entrepreneur, and she's married with 2 kids. So, guys, please, in our, we are honorable house, in our way of celebrating this woman of grace and this woman of substance. Please, let's, with clapping ovation, let's bring up Miss Dr. Folashade Omokoro. Yeah, welcome, ma.
Good morning, everybody. Thank
Good
you for having
morning.
me. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Wow, thank you. Can I start now?
Yes, you
Yes,
can go ahead, ma.
yes.
Okay. Please, that was a fantastic session by Sister Itunu. She really laid a good foundation, by talking about what we call etiology, etiological factors. I mean, the things. And in the course of the discussion, you will notice that thank God, I will not need to repeat some of the things. I'll just quickly, refer to it. Let me share my slide now. Only the host can share in this meeting. Can you make me a co-host? I want to share my slide, and it's saying only the host can share. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That
Okay,
will be
yeah,
done
we'll make
shortly.
you.
That will be done shortly. That will be done shortly.
Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Wow.
In fact, this meeting really like this stuff. There are things that I always want to pass across to young people around me, but I don't really have that platform. I deal more with teenagers, and already we have a lot of juvenile delinquencies, a lot of things we need to deal with. So I've been looking for how I'll pass across this information. So thank you very much, Tribewell, for giving me this opportunity. Okay, so speak with us. Share screen. Okay, so can we see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your
You
screen.
can. You can
Okay.
see.
All right. So understanding pathological patterns that runs in family. So this is my outline. Okay. So by way of introduction, which Sister Ituno has done justice to. In fact, understanding pathological patterns that run in the family help us to recognize the health challenges, emotional behavior, and social habits we may have unknowingly inherited. Therefore, as unmarried individuals, I mean, we have singles and parents to be here, becoming aware of this pattern empowers us to break cycles early, build healthier relationships, and create a future family that is rooted in wellness rather than repeating past pain. I'm sure you will agree with me that this is what she has been trying to explain to us in the first session. Now, why this topic? For me, I think this topic is very important because we have seen pathological patterns being transferred from one generation to another generation. I mean, she talked about generation, okay? Then what are the objectives? We do not want you to be ignorant of this. She talked about part of, reflection is, when you make inquiries and the rest. So the ignorance is not an excuse. Like maybe you are about to start a new family, or maybe, your family is so fresh. And then you're not giving excuse that I did not know, I did not know. There is no excuse. Even the scripture says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So we want you to know the different pathological patterns, which she has mentioned some of them. And we want to let you know, I mean, in our own little knowledge, what we think you can do. Now, definition of terms. We have in that topic, these are the keywords in my topic. Understanding. What does it mean to understand? To have the knowledge to comprehend something, right? When we say patterns, it means there is a trend. Okay, these are just like I'm just giving us. The topic already is very simplified. So whatever I'm doing is just like maybe I'm giving you synonyms of the keywords in the topic. Then when you talk about pathological in medicine, you see in medicine we have physiology and pathology. So when you say physiology or physiological, you're talking about the normal way the body should run, the normal way things should be, I don't want to use body now, because in this conference or seminar, we are not just talking about physical health alone. We are talking about the normal way. We are talking about behavior, social, behavior. We're talking about the normal way that people should behave. When we are not talking about pathological, we are saying the abnormal way. We are saying something is wrong. That is what pathology means. Like something is not going on well. And then when we talk about family, we all know what family is: father, mother, and the children. That's for a nuclear family. And if it's extended family, there may be other members of the family, uncle, auntie, living with them. All right. So now let's talk about the pattern of illnesses. Okay, we are talking medicine now. Okay, so we have different ways in which diseases can be transmitted. So the first one is genetics. It means that if there is a genetic transmission of an illness, it means that it can be transmitted from the parents to the children. If we can remember your biology, you remember that we have like 23 pairs of genes, and one of the gene, their sex chromosome or chromosomes, 23 pairs, okay, and one either XX or XY, XX for a female, XY for a male. So there are some illnesses that they are transmitted through the ordinary chromosomes that we call autosomes. While the other chromosome, out of the 23 pairs, one is a pair of sex chromosomes. So it's either we have sex chromosomes, or let me just, to simplify it, body chromosomes. Let's just take it like that. We call it autosomes. So there are some illnesses that it is through those autosomal chromosomes that they are transmitted. Okay. And then there are some other ones through sex chromosome. But I'm not here to come and give us medical jargons. But what we just need to know is that there are some illnesses. For example, the sickle cell anemic patient now is an autosomal chromosomal abnormality. Okay, meaning that, and we call it autosomal recessive, meaning that if the chromosome or the gene that is carrying the type of genotype, if any of it just carries that sickle cell, then that person is having that sickle cell, traits. And then the other things we'll talk about, when we get to the other area. So, for example, that can be inherited. Then we have some illnesses that they are partially genetic and they are partially lifestyle too. For example, under that we have diabetes, hypertension, in which the genes, the traits, can give us the tendency to develop it. Then the lifestyle to the environment. If you can modify the environment, we could see that the vulnerability of that individual can reduce. Okay, what I'm saying is that already there is a family history. This man and woman has given birth to this child, and this trait, the gene, that can make someone develop diabetes, is already in the child. And then that child, or that individual, is now not making the environment conducive. He's eating junks, he's eating oily things, the things that, is not doing exercise, sedentary lifestyle. So that means the vulnerability of that individual will be higher. Okay. So then we have another one, non-inherited. We are talking about the pattern through which illnesses can be, transferred. We are talking about infectious illnesses. These ones are not inherited, right? They are usually transmitted through maybe the blood, through the air, through fecal-oral, that's feces, or maybe through poor hygiene. Okay, so if you are in a family and there's someone that is having an infectious illness, probability of it being transmitted to someone in that family is there. In fact, depending on the illness, research shows that the probability is around 10 to 80%. For example, someone having tuberculosis, right? Okay, so then maybe someone with HIV illness, if they are not careful, like I said, okay, some of them through sexually transmission, like HIV, like hepatitis, apart from sexually transmission through blood, you understand? If they are not careful in the house, maybe the mother has wound and the child has wound, and then they touch each other, it can be transmitted. Okay, so let's move to autoimmune illnesses. I'm sure you will have heard of autoimmune illnesses like systemic lupus erythematosus. You will have heard of SLE. Okay, so these illnesses are kind of they will fall under. I'm picking specific now. I've mentioned the major things, which are it could be genetics, it could be partially genetic or partially environment, and it could be non-inherited. Now, mentioning a few that could be a pathological pattern, autoimmune. Then we have behavioral and emotions. Okay, we have neurodevelopmental illnesses, right? So what happened is that, like I said, we can have genes that could predispose us to this thing. Okay, the autoimmune illnesses, it means that your body is fighting against your body. That's what it means. Okay, so the gene is there, and then the environment too, like stress and all the rest, can now make it to become prominent. The same thing with behavior and emotions, which Sister Itunu has dwelled on very well. How behavior can be transmitted through modeling, what the children are seeing, and even the gene too. The gene is so powerful. Are you seeing it? So the gene is there, and the environment. She mentioned, what the parents are doing, dysfunctional home, domestic violence. These are the social environment that will shape the kind of behavior and the emotions that the child will eventually have. Even though the child may have the gene vulnerability, are you seeing it? But the environment is now, making the vulnerability higher. Then neurodevelopmental illnesses too, because we are talking about, building new family. We'll see that, there are some families, they have children with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, there are children with autistic spectrum disorder, children with seizures, children with intellectual developmental disorders. So what I'm trying to say is that we will look at it, in the course of our discussion, that you're about to start a new family, you don't know anything about neurodevelopmental milestone. A lot of patients I see at the clinic, they'll just come, that child will have started showing some signs since 1 year, 2 years, and they'll be meeting people, they'll be telling them, don't worry, the child will walk, Jare. Maybe that's just that child's pattern. Okay, that's why we are doing this kind of seminar, that no, don't meet the wrong people. Because they used sorry to the non-Yorubas, that trial method that don't worry, it will do. Because of course, some of these neurodevelopmental illnesses, they could be self-limiting. If it is, because it's usually a spectrum, like borderline, mild, moderate, severe, profound. So if that child of that other person is just a borderline or mild neurodevelopmental problem, of course, the child may, outgrow it. That's, in that case, is self-limiting. But if your own case is maybe moderate, severe, or profound, so serious, and then they are telling you that, oh, my own child too had similar things, you can see why there'll be a need to seek for medical intervention. So we'll see that. Then, also put incidental illness. For example, you got married and, you ate snoring, and then you realize that there's this, your partner snores a lot. Okay, so what will you do? Or maybe your partner, has what we call halitosis, mouth odor. What do you want to do? Do you want to say, no, I need to come out of this family? As in, that mouth odor is so bad. Maybe during courtship, people don't really come close as far, you are, brethren. And then you do not really observe that. And then this thing is disgusting for you. What do you want to do? That's what we are talking about here. I mean, these things can cause misunderstanding in the family. And so how can we do it in order not to, cause this thing? And then what of if you get married and something incidental happens? Maybe your partner just have, God forbid, road traffic accident, and they need to cut off the leg. Do you get? So those are the things we need to take note. So the risk of all those genetic illnesses like sickle cell, diabetes, hypertension, like I said, the other, diabetes, those on environment is part of it. Depending on the illness, the risk of it being transmitted to another generation from research is 20 to 50%. So some are 20, some are 30. Diseases are plenty. I cannot be, picking one and start saying them. So what we just need to know is that risk is just about 22. So And yeah, I have that. So having a family history may increase risk, as I have established, but it does not automatically mean someone will develop the illness. Okay. So I want us to know, yeah, maybe by the time you begin to do your reflection, you begin to ask questions, and then you realize that there's a family history of so in your spouse's family, and you're like, you can develop it. Yes, the risk is there, but it does not mean that that person will develop it. Please, let's take note so that you will not run away that they have diabetes. It means that if I give birth to my child, we have that. I'm running away. So it's just a probability. Okay, you can see it's not 100%. If it is 100%, that means for every parent that gives birth to a child, that child will have that thing. And then when that child gives birth to the other child, the offspring will have it like that, like that, like that. But it is not 100%, it is probability. So now what do we do? Right? What do we do? These are what we are going to do, and we are going to pick them one after the other. Recognizing the pattern. Sister Itunuoluwa dwell on this very well. That's information. What we are trying to say is that what we are doing in this place is that we are gathering information that when I want to get married, I need to know that there are some things that may not be in my husband, though it may not be in my wife, but there is possibility that if I give birth, my child can have it. All this kind of health related matter, all this mental health related matter, all this behavior. Okay, the grandfather used to be like this. So we are using this opportunity to inform you. Okay, so that's the first thing. You need to be informed. She mentioned it. If you're not informed, you will not know. You just be living the life. You just say, my partner, I love you, you love me. You're just doing lovey, and you don't know that there are some, things that later on that will not be coming up that you guys will not be running up and down to. So get informed. So that is what you are doing here now. And then the next thing that she mentioned is that understanding the roots of the pathology. Sister Itunu mentioned something that there was a time when I think she was doing like a self-reflection. She was asking her parent that, what happened when you gave birth to me? This is understanding the roots. For example, if you and your spouse to be, you are having business meeting, and like you are asking question, is there any illness in your family? I remember, when I was dating my husband and he was asking me, imagine me, I did not even know, I was ignorant. I didn't, although during my counseling, they in my church, they actually linked me to a Yoruba woman, because my husband is an Yoruba man, a Yoruba woman that married Urubu, so that I can ask her question. Maybe they're trying to help me with knowing pathological pattern, and they were telling me some things that the men, they are lazy, they are this. So they gave him the assignment too. Ijesha ladies, what are the trends in them? And she learned that they are stubborn and da. And to some extent, me, I'm strong-willed. And then we prayed. I mean, these are the things we are going to talk about. This thing, they said in our culture, they said in our people, they said the men are lazy. They said the men used to drink ogogoro. They said this thing will not repeat itself, right, in my family. Okay? And then they said you are stubborn. No, I am not stubborn. I am strong-willed, and okay, I will work on it. I'll be better. So you need to ask questions. Okay? Ask your spouse. Is there any? So I told my husband that I used to have back pain. And you know that this guy was scared that, like chronic back pain that I'm dealing with, does it mean that when she wants to give birth, already, giving birth, there's a lot of pain, my leg, my back, he was already scared. But we just had to talk about it. And, it's not a challenge now. I thank God. I mean, I'm still trusting God for permanent healing. Okay. Okay. So, so you need to understand this illness, is it genetic? Okay, this illness, this mommy, she's always coughing. Is it that there is a genetic, or maybe she developed tuberculosis and it was not well taken care of because they are not elite, or something. So you would need to ask questions to know maybe the illness is the genetic illness, or maybe it was just an infectious illness that they are not taking care of very well, or something that, if it's or something that environments can help you guys modify it, right? Then the next one is, and the reason why, one of the things we will need to do once once we have knowledge of it, once we know the roots that, okay, I think there is one or two in my family. So because we are talking about, parents to be, and I think I love what, when Sister Itunuoluwa was talking, she was talking more as the individual. What me I had in mind was, okay, you'll be asking your spouse, you'll be asking your spouse. But I think I will go with her. It's not about your spouse alone. It's about both of you. Okay, so one of the ways in which we are going to break this pattern, especially the ones that have environmental modification in it, is that we are going to embrace healthy lifestyle. And when we are talking about healthy lifestyles, we are not just talking about physical health alone, because we will look at the definition of health according to please, when I know I have 1 hour, but I'm planning to use like 45 minutes. When I'm 30 minutes gone, let me know, so I'll know I have just 15 minutes, so I can, because the meat of the matter.
You are
Okay, we're
23
already.
minutes gone now.
Okay, thank you. So that means I have like 22 minutes more. Okay. So I hope we are getting value. I hope I'm not just speaking to myself. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, ma. We
Hello,
can hear
ma. We
you.
can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Though I'm not using my system, I'm using my phone to do my presentation, but I wish I can be seeing some reaction in the group to really know that, yeah, I'm passing across, good information here. Okay. So we are not just talking about, when you hear healthy lifestyle, we are not talking about eating good food, drinking water. You will see, according to WHO, that health, encompasses physical, social, mental, and me, I added spiritual to it. But I know that I think during the evening session, there is someone that is, going to dwell more about the spiritual aspect for us. So while we have to, once we understand pathological pattern and the ones that can be modified, environmentally, we need to have good healthy lifestyle, so that the same thing will not repeat in the family that we are about to replicate. And now that is what will make me to define what health means according to WHO. And it says health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that means if I am going to inculcate, healthy lifestyle, then doctor, that means you have to tell me about physical healthy lifestyle, mental healthy lifestyle, and social healthy lifestyles that is going to help me modify my environment, so that whatever peradventure there is any of these things that I've mentioned, or that Sister Itunuoluwa have mentioned, I can begin to work on it, right? So it's not just your health. There are 3 components to it: physical, mental, and social. Okay. Time will not permit me. I will have been defining what physical health means, what meant. Okay, definitely I'll mention some of mental, social health. Physical, we can just do it. Physical health is when you don't have maybe acute illness or chronic illness. Acute illness are illnesses of very short duration, malaria, typhoid, food poisoning. Then chronic illnesses are, some of all these genetically transmitted illnesses that we are talking about, maybe diabetes or terminal illnesses like HIV, cancer. When you don't have them, then you say you're physically healthy, right? So the physical health tips, these are the physical health tips. Let's look at them quickly. Healthy diets. I was trying to look for a plate that will contain our own local stuff, but there's no. But the information I want to pass across here is that healthy diet is what is being recommended now, and it's been said that a plate will contain about 50% of vegetables, 25% of carbohydrates, and 25% of protein, right? And then, of course, we have healthy oil, olive oil, soya, bean oil, vegetable oil, like that. Definitely, there's no way you cook your food without, putting oil. But how many of us we agree with me that a lot of us have not been taking healthy diets? A lot of us, in fact, what we have is 75% carbohydrates, maybe 20% protein, and 5% vegetables, right? But let's be intentional. Even me that I'm talking, I'm guilty about it. Like what they're saying is that when you are eating, every meal you eat, 50% of it should be fruits, vegetables. But I know that God will provide for us. Fruits and vegetables are so expensive now. Like, actually, to have a healthy diet is expensive, but it's better to spend money on healthy diet than to spend your money on buying medications. So that is just it for us. Let's work on it. Then another thing about we are talking about physical healthy tips now. There's a need to avoid substance. Someone that has family history of hypertension, family history of diabetes, and the person is drinking, this person is smoking. I mean, that means that person is already, making a good environment for that gene, that's susceptible gene to sit on. So please, as parents to be and as children of God, let's avoid substance. I know what I am saying. Eventually, the end stage of substance is psychosis. A lot of young people that we admit in our hospital is as a result of substance. So we need to avoid. We are talking about, LD tips. I need to be fast with this. I don't want to. You have heard this several times. Exercise well. The exercise that the picture that is being shown here is just like normal muscle strengthening exercise, which is recommended. But the real exercise that is recommended, that even me, I'm trying to see how I can work on it. God help me. That really make your heart and your body to be fit is, what is recommended is about 150 minutes of aerobic moderate exercise, such as brisk walking, like you're walking faster than normal, such as dancing. Okay, so and 150 minutes per week. So you could actually break it to 30 minutes, maybe 5 times in a week. Then if it is a very vigorous exercise, what is recommended is 75 minutes per week. For example, running. For example, when you are doing vigorous cycling, then when you are swimming, all those ones. So that means you can have 15 minutes of each of these vigorous exercise 5 times in a week, right? So God will help us. So that means if you have been dancing in church, you have been doing moderate aerobic exercises, very good. And I know that many of us will go to church on Sunday and maybe one time during the week. And I know that praise and worship session is usually like 30 minutes, some churches, some 20. So that means out of the 5 days, you're already doing two. So if you can do more, play song and dance, right? So you'll be doing yourself good. You are praising God. You are lifting your spirits, man. And at the same time, you are helping your physical body, not just your physical health alone, anyway, even your mental health. Because when you're listening to good music and that is making you happy, we believe that happy hormones are being released. Okay, we believe that happy hormones are being relieved, are being released. So it will go a long way. So it is like 30 minutes per, at least for 5 days. So you can add extra 3 days to your dancing in church. That's by the way. So regular intake of water, okay, at least about 3 liters. That's what is recommended. So that means that's about 6 sachets of pure water. So another thing we need to know is that it's not good for us to rush water. Okay, let's take it. Some people, they will just carry one bottle of water and just go, 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 go. It's not really the best. Apart from it, it's not just recommended. You can choke and like that. So let's try. That I'm talking here, I'm guilty. There was a time somebody bought me a water bottle, and I was trying to drink at least about 5 sachets of water. But since I lost that water bottle now, God help me. Water is very therapeutic. A lot of illness, people with kidney stone, people with, that is, whatever that can be transmitted in the family. When you drink water, it helps. It's very therapeutic. You will urinate through the kidney and it will reduce the risk of developing that illness. Then being intentional about resting. Time will not permit me. A lot of us don't rest. according to American Psychology Association, we have different kind of rest, but I may not be able to dwell more on it. But I want to dwell on physical rest. A lot of us will say we are resting and we hold our phone. When you talk about rest, it means that you are putting a pause to, all the activities on your body. And you know that our senses, the eyes, the ears, these are the ways through, these are the openings into our mind. So if you are still watching your phone, you are playing game, fine. Playing game, journaling, there are also they are examples of forms of rest, which time will not permit me to explain. But the physical rest itself, gone, that one, all your senses, you are not watching anything. Anyway, what I want to emphasize is that there is a need for us to be intentional about our use of phone. Okay, a lot of us, we will lie down on the bed 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and we will not sleep until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock because we are moving from Instagram to TikTok to like that. That one is another thing, digital intelligence, the use of social media. So we need to be intentional about resting. A lot of people have died today because they are not resting. I remember just like 2-3 days ago, I was stressed. I was so stressed. I was supposed to go to church. I was supposed to leave office at 4:30, but I know I was stressed. I mean, maybe, one of the time we're going to talk about stress management or something, maybe another period. I was exhausted. I just said, whoa, I just put down everything. I lie down around that 4 o'clock in our doctor's lunch, and I woke up to 6. I was supposed to leave like to 5 so that I will not get late to church. But I got to church like 7 p.m. But I was refreshed. Okay. So you will know in your body that you need to rest. Next is, okay, very good. I think I should be having like 10 minutes more. Premarital checkups. Before you get married, you must know your genotype. Okay, so if there is S in your genotype, don't bother marrying anybody with S. For example, if you are SS, if you are AS, so don't bother. We cannot be doing the mathematics here. Don't bother. If you are AS, don't say, but it's not SS now. It's AS. We can still give birth to AA. The what is there is that for every child, for every pregnancy you have, the chance of your child being sickle cell is 25%. The chance of your child being AS is another 25%, and the chance of your child being AA is 50%. But who knows? Maybe that you may be unlucky. God forbid, will not be unlucky in Jesus' name. For every pregnancy, you are always falling into that SS. So that is why, if you are AS or SS, please go for someone that is AA. So it's better before the emotion, before you will not start saying no. We are sure we are for each other. And God, I worked in emergency for 7 years before I started psychiatry like 4+ years ago. So I know what it means to have sickle cell crisis, what it causes in the family and everything. So please, another one is you need to know your HIV status, hepatitis status. Okay, because I mentioned that these ones, they are transmitted through sex, and there could be some cancel if you truly love, the person. It doesn't mean that if the person has viral illnesses, you can't marry. So it depends on you. You'll be canceled, and then on how to go about it. So there are some other tests too. Like, of course, I know some churches, before they get married, eventually they will do pregnancy tests. Then generally, if you just want to know how healthy both of you are, you can now do other things. You can check your liver function. You can even check your womb by doing scan. Okay, even your kidney function, everything. You can do them. There's no crime in doing that. But most importantly, the genotype, the blood group, right? Maybe it's A+ or B+ or something. The HIV status, then the hepatitis B and hepatitis C. Okay, then good. Another place I'll dwell on. By the time we get married and we begin to give birth to our children, we need to be very observant about their growth. When children are growing, it's not just the physical growth. there are about 6 domains. The motto, that's the walking. Then the speech, the language, right? That's the second. Then social emotional, that's the way the child relates. Okay, then we have cognitive too. That has to do with their level of intelligence, their scholastic, their academic, performance. Okay, their level of intelligence. Then their adaptive functioning, the way they eat, the way they put on their clothes, then their behavior generally, maybe they're hyperactive and all the rest. So you need to know. I'll mention it again. When your child is growing as a parent to be, you're not just watching my child is not the child is not tall. You are watching for the speech too, because for every child there is an expected vocabulary. For example, I expect my child to be babbling by 6 months of age, like should be saying baba, mama, those kind of things. And so your child is already 1 year and that child is not making any babbling sound. You should be worried. By the time you go and meet some people, and that's why, when you're in this kind of environment, you can ask questions that, Sister Itunu, I better go. Sister Itunu can now, if she doesn't know much about it, and if she knows, she will tell you what you know. She will tell you what she knows. And if not, she will say, I think it's better that you see a pediatrician or you see a psychiatrist. Okay? The child is not talking. He's not making any sound as 1 year. By 1 year, your child is supposed to be making about 20 words. By 1 year, your child is just making 2 sounds. Food. He's saying rice. He's just saying like 2, 3 words. Is not a good thing. By 2 years, your child should be making phrases. Mommy, I go, I come. By 3, 4 years, that child by 3 years, the child should be able to make full sentence. I hope we are getting it. By 4 years, the child should be making to and fro conversation. But by 4 years, the child cannot even make a phrase. And then you tell someone, they're like, oh, no, cousin, no. The cousin was like that, so don't worry, it will come up. Don't forget, I have already laid a foundation. I told us that this neurodevelopmental problem is usually the child falls into a spectrum. It could be borderline, like child is just, is borderline, like in between, mild, moderate, severe. So don't answer them. Seek, and I've seen parents too that come to our clinic and they're like, we went to a general hospital and the doctor told us that we should not worry, that the child will outgrow it. And then patients usually just believe on what we the doctors say. I just pray that we'll not meet with the wrong doctor. They're not just supposed to say it to the child will outgrow it. There is a need for checkup. Maybe, okay, check back in 6 months' time so that if the child does not outgrow it, then we can refer you to a pediatrician, right? That can do a proper assessment and then say, this, because for neurodevelopmental problem, please put this thing at the left side of your hand. The best time to intervene in that child is the first 1,000 days of life. That's if you calculate it, by year, that's the first 3 years of life. So at our clinic, we will see patients, young parents bringing, okay, are they young like that? I mean, young family, bringing a child with neurodevelopmental problem at 7 years. My brethren, tell me, what can we do? We will try our best, though, but the maximum effective intervention will have been when that child was maybe 2 years or 3 years, because a lot of changes occur during that brain, and maybe if the child is having a developmental problem, that means the child is not growing automatically well the way other child is growing. So we have to do it manually, right? So I just gave example of language. Another one is social emotional. For example, I'm supposed to smile to a child. The child is supposed to smile to me back as early as 6 weeks or 2 months. All these things have ranges. In fact, if you browse, it's just that if you browse, you will see Rishi, but it's better for you to get a specialist that will just say, okay, this is it. The child is supposed to smile back. By 1 year, the child is supposed to have what we call stranger anxiety. Like if somebody carries the child should be doing no. But a child that is 2 years, a child that is, he doesn't know maybe this one is a stranger or not, is a pointer, right? A child is supposed to be calling your attention to something. Maybe a butterfly is going. A child, by 1 year, 1.5 years, the child is supposed to be calling your attention. But by maybe 2.5 years, the child is not supposed to be doing that again. So a child is 4 years and the child is still calling the mental age of that child is above that. That child is, is grown. He's not supposed to still be calling your attention. Most autistic children, eventually, because they don't want to talk, right? They will now be calling their attention. If they want to eat, they will drag their mom into the kitchen. It's not right. Okay, you can be thinking that, he doesn't like talking, Jare, but you understand the other languages. It's not good because the child has to speak. It's part of growth. Then, which one again? Motto. The child is supposed to maybe start working by 6 months. By 1 year, the child is not working. It's a pointer to something that you need to look at. By maybe some child even work before 12 months. 9 months, 8 months, they're already working. Some children, at least by I think 12 to 16 months, by 1.5 years, the child should be working. For a child of 2 years. So please, let's be observant. Let's ask questions. Let's ask our friends that have given birth, like what age did your child start talking? And we need to be speaking to the children too. We talked about the environment, modifying, the child. Sorry, let me now be fast. How many minutes more do I have?
2 more minutes, man. 2 more
Jesus!
minutes for
I wasted time on physical health tips, so that means I'll just read all this. Okay. Although I have 1 hour, it's just me that said I want to finish for 5 minutes.
all right,
Now,
man.
what are the social health tips? She talked about a lot of behavioral patterns that we are built. That can be built, that can be transmitted. So these are the social health tips. Awareness of being a social being, meaning that you cannot be saying, in our family, we don't really make friends, or we are not really friendly. It's a wrong, pattern. We are social beings. Even when God created Adam, he said it is not good for Adam to be alone. He created Eve. So you need to be aware that I am a social being. I can't be saying I don't like talking. I don't like being around people. Yes, I know that there's sometimes in our lives that we just want to be alone. But naturally speaking, spiritually, culturally, we are social beings. So we need to be aware. So if there is any kind of pattern that is non-social that we have inherited, let's begin to become aware that no, it's a wrong pattern. I am a social being. Then there is a need for us to attend LD events. Because we are going to learn cultural things, maybe naming ceremony, marriage, we will learn cultural things. Then even a LD event to include spiritual events where you will learn things. Okay, so some people, they don't really like going out, I know, but let's be intentional. It's part of good social health tips. Then let's check on people. Thank God for WhatsApp. Let's check on people. It's a way of building our own emotional bank too. In fact, some people, they actually write suicidal note on their WhatsApp status. Let's check on people. Don't think that people are fine. Okay, that's one of the ways we can maintain social relationship. Just check on people that I just said I should check on you longest time, and people appreciate it a lot. I don't like people that when you call them or they text you, they'll just be like, now wow, you're not even checking on me. You have checked on me. That is good. That means you are telling me that I need to reciprocate. Do you understand? So don't let us be those kind of people. Wow. Emotional intelligence. Yeah. If there are wrong patterns that we have inherited, we need to learn to be emotionally intelligent. I don't know. Let me just mention 1 or 2 things about it because it's a big topic. Self-awareness means that, you understand your feeling, you know why you are anxious, you know why you are happy. So when you know why you are happy, then it will go to self-regulation. You'll be able to know what to do. Okay, I think I am anxious because of this. Okay, calm down. Then from there, you can use your emotion to become motivated. Motivation means that you have some things you want to achieve. In the context of emotional intelligence now, I'm not talking about motivation generally, but as a component of emotional intelligence, it means that you are using the emotion you are having to achieve some goals. So If you are angry and you are worried, that means you're not emotionally intelligent, because at the state of being angry or being worried, you cannot achieve anything. You will only achieve bad things. When you're angry, when you're worried, it will reflect in your behavior and you will not be able to get things done. Then empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of others. Then social skills. This one is a lot, maybe you have to be intentional about learning how to be patient with people, about learning how to be tolerant, about learning not to be selfish, checking on people, being respectful, communicating well, listening, and not the rest. So it's a big topic. So being intentional about the people you follow. In fact, this is one of the things I just put in my to-do list. I wanted to check something about surfing the internet, just browsing, but I think my time did not allow me. Some people, they'll just go on Instagram and you'll be scrolling. What I want to do, and I'm encouraging us to do in order to build good social skills, is that we should have people that we are following intentional, meaning that when you go on Instagram, you already have the list of people, because you will learn healthy tips from some of those people. Maybe this person is an health expert. Maybe this person is a marriage expert. This person is a finance expert. These are the social environment that will help us build good patterns, good character that we will reproduce in the family we are about to produce. Okay, so that means when I open Instagram, I'll put the name of the person I want to go. Let me go and hear what Ibukun Oshika has to say this week, right? So that I can add it to my wealth of knowledge. Not that you will just go on TikTok or Instagram and just be scrolling. It has danger. You'll just be exposing yourself to a lot of information, a lot of wrong things, a lot of things you don't need. But when you're intentional, then you are looking for something. Let's be intentional. Then let's be a positive institution, or we ourselves should be positive institution. And what from research, there are 5 parameters that make you a positive institution. Do you have a purpose? Then do you do things around safety? Are you fair to people in your judgment? Then do you show compassionate? Do you have humanity, spirit in you? And then dignity is still part of emotional. Can you see some of all these things I'm mentioning now? I got these things from different things while preparing for this thing. They are kind of interwoven. So you need to belong to positive institution too. You yourself should be positive institution. So positive institution means this group I belong to, a lot of us belong to different kind of group. They'll just be posting rishi things that are good for our senses, that are not good for our senses, with no caption. Everybody has become a broadcaster. So this group, do they have a purpose? Are they conscious about safety? Do you understand? Because it's not everything you must watch, but nowadays people just, then fairness, when things happen, is there good judgment? Are they interested in my welfare? And do they show respect? So if you belong to any social clubs and they don't have this stuff, then you don't belong there. So mental health tips, which is supposed to be my main, where I wanted to dwell on. Maybe my pictures would just describe what I have in mind. Okay, first of all, what is mental health? There are 4 components of mental health according to WHO. So the first one is that you must be able to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And what do you do to your strengths? You use it. What do you do to your weakness? You work on it to become better individuals. The next one is coping with everyday stress, right? You have to cope with everyday stress. For example, I have this presentation today. It has been on my mind. I have to check up things. Is my slide okay? We call it stress. EU, then stress. Then, but when certain things have now, they are giving you worries, they've become distress, right? So you have to, like, if you're a mother now, you know that I need to wake up early, I need to prepare my children. But by the time you begin to complain that these children are giving me stress, or you are complaining about hold up in Lagos, what you can do is, if you have a ride and you don't want to be, you can, if you have money, you can get a driver. If you don't have that money, you can enter public transport and still continue what you're meant to be doing while in the public transport. So you can't be complaining. So you must cope with everyday stress. The third one is that you must work productively and fruitfully. Whatever you are doing, You can't just say, I beg, I don't want to do anything today. No. To a psychiatrist, by the time I had one or two symptoms to it, I will make a diagnosis. So even God, we must always work productively such that when you are not in the place where you are supposed to work, they must be able to say, oh, Shade is not around. We are feeling her absence, right? So we must work productively and fruitfully. And the last one is that we must hack to our community, like what Sister Itunu is doing now. She doesn't want parents to make mistakes. She wants them to know the things, a lot of things before they go into marriage. So if you don't understand these four things, then you may be mentally unstable, and anyone that is mentally unstable can be predisposed to developing mental illness, right? So that is what mental health is. So when people are talking, they say, hey, my mental health, that is what it means, because they normally exchange it for mental illness. Mental health means that you know your strength, you know your weakness, you can cope with everyday stress, you are working productively and fruitfully, and you are adding to your community. So when you are mentally unstable, then you can now develop mental illness, which of course we have established that it can run in family. And mental illnesses, we have a lot under it. Sleep problem. It's not only people that are roaming about the streets that have mental, right? All those people that are looking unkept. We have a lot of mental illnesses, food disorder, we have personality disorder, So mental illness is any illness that will affect your thinking, that will affect your mood, because your thinking will affect your feeling, your mood, and then your mood will affect your behavior. So when you are unstable, or maybe it's actually run in the family, mental illness will affect your mood in a bad way. It will affect your mood, it will affect your feeling, it will affect your behavior, and it will be so distressing, and it will make you to be dysfunctional. I don't know if you have seen people that have mental illness before. It affects them, they become dysfunctional, right? So what are the things we need to do if there is a family history of mental illness, or maybe certain behavior, antisocial behavior, or personality behavior? We need to be grateful to God, because you cannot be talking about any form of health at all when you are not alive. So gratitude, our senses must be guided. We have mentioned, like the mouth taking of substances, the nose taking of, sniffing substances, our eyes, what we watch matters. Do you understand? How many of us, watch that or massacre that happened then? The way they were, butchering people, and even of recent too. So if you know that you don't have that kind of a mind, someone was telling me about it. I said, I don't want to watch it, please. Because this thing has a way of, if you belong to groups that everything, or you are following somebody on social media, and the only thing the person knows how to spread is bad news, block that person now. Your senses must be guided. Okay, what we hear, what we listen to. That's why I talked about us being intentional about the people we follow. Don't just be solving the internet. Then skin, of course, some people take substance through the skin. So our senses must be guided. Let us embrace pleasurable things. You know what gives you pleasure? I know my own, but good ones, please. For example, masturbation gives pleasure, but it's not a good pleasurable activity. But in my years of talking to people about mental health, I noticed that the only place we can get pleasurable thing is in the presence of God. My brothers, my sisters, please, if you're not taking anything home, I know what I am saying. No. When I am down and people are like, are you that you're a mental health specialist? Do you know how many times I say, God, I am strengthened. I am strengthened. Like I can say it 100 times in a day. In a day, I can say, my day is blessed. I don't know. It could even be more than 100 times. So I find out that the Bible even says, in the presence of God, there is fullness of joy. And at your right hand, there are pleasures forevermore. Whatever way you want to maintain that presence of God, maybe by listening to songs, or by creating time, or by, listening to godly people, please. I can tell you 1001 things that can give you pleasure. They are just temporal. Where we can get permanent pleasure is in the presence of God. So look for what makes you maintain being in God's presence. Good coping strategy. We are talking about mental health tips. A lot of people bottle up things. At the end of the day, you find people that are rich, people that are celebrity committing suicide. They bottle up things, they don't tell people things. So one of the things we believe in psychology is ventilation of emotion, which has to do with pouring out your heart. So I do tell people, I may not be able to take others, but maybe I will. Ventilation of emotion means that pouring out your heart. And I recommend that people should have at least 2 people, one male or one female, people full of wisdom. We are Christians, yeah, people that are, full of wisdom of God. And I will normally recommend male and female because there are some situations that are very sensitive. You may not want to discuss with opposite sex, and then the other. Then these ones are explanatory, reappraisal of the problem. Sometimes when certain things happen, if you do a reflection, you will thank God. You thank God that that thing happened. Avoidance of problem. There's another one, confrontation. Actually, all these different coping strategies, we use them at different times, right? And I pray that God will give us wisdom to know what to confront and what to avoid. Okay? There's some situation that you try to avoid them, good. But there's some situation that you cannot avoid. You have to confront them. You have to hold the bull by the horn. So God will give us wisdom, right? Then we need to avoid maladaptive coping skills. That's maybe smoking, drinking, deliberate self-harm. Some people, until they cut their wrist, until they inflict pain on themselves before they get better. Proper handling of negative thoughts. We are lucky. All these things are psychological terms that you can see a distraction, meaning that when negative thoughts comes, and negative thoughts usually come, all of us, we always have one negative thought or the other. That's just the truth. In psychology, they call it automatic, thoughts. So psychology believe in distraction. Distract your mind by doing something else or by thinking about something else. Then they also believe in neutralization, which means you are saying positive things. But in our own case, we have the word of God. So we can use the word of God to counter any negative things. Are you getting it? Then reassess all these other ones. Challenging the belief. It is with the therapists that help the client to challenge their beliefs. So just embrace this neutralization, which in our own case, I'm encouraging us. That is why it's good for us to know the word of God. So that when there is no scripture, there's no situation that doesn't have scriptural backup or background. I'll teach us this one last. So healing from the past. There's a need for us to forgive ourselves. I think they will draw more on this later in the evening. There's a need to forgive whoever has hurt us. Sister Ibuku mentioned adverse childhood experience. A lot of people have gone through very terrible experience. They've not even forgiven some of the people that made them go through this experience, and it is affecting them now as adults. So, there's something we call psychodynamic therapy. We will go back to the childhood and look at that thing. Those memories have been repressed. We try to bring them out so as to help the person. So forgive yourself, forgive the person, live in the presence, right? Periodic mental health checks, just like the way we go for normal physical health check. There is something, I've come to my conclusion, right? But I need to teach us. I'm going to change this. I'm going to stop the slide. Then I'll now teach us deep breathing exercise, which is the last thing. And I don't know. I thought I put it in this slide, and I think it will be dwell in the evening. All these orishi things that I have said, these are the knowledge of medicine that I know. But to break pathological pattern, most of the time, all of us, we will do orishi things. At the end of the day, we'll not start praying. So the first thing is, when you've gotten the information, I told you about my own experience. We prayed. So the place is not in my slide, but the place of prayer can never be overemphasized. But it's not that you will pray and you not do the needful. So that's why we mentioned all the different things that we should do. When we see that pattern, that vulnerability is there, do the right thing. But prayer should be the foundation. So in conclusion, then I'll now teach us deep breathing exercise because it works for me a lot. Because I am not an anxiety patient. I usually have anxiety symptoms, and it's because sometimes I could be very overambitious. So I normally do this deep breathing exercise and that neutralization, which is the word of God, and it helps me a lot. So in conclusion, by recognizing and addressing unhealthy family patterns early, unmarried individuals can rewrite their story by choosing healing, growth, and healthier relationships. Breaking the cycle starts with awareness, which we have established, and it leads to a better future for you and the family you will build someday. These are my references. Thank you for listening. So now I will. What's the time? Jesus.
It's already 10:01, ma.
So please.
I wanted to use 45 minutes. I use 1 hour. Okay,
1 hour, 1 minute.
so give me 5 minutes. Let me teach you that deep breathing, and then I think we'll now round up, right? Am I permitted?
Yes, ma. You can go ahead.
Okay, so let me go to the group. Let me stop sharing slide. I hope we got value for all we did. For those of us that
Yes.
okay, so a lot of people, when we are anxious, even for the parents to be that wants to get married, marriage itself, have I stopped sharing the slide and you can see me now?
Stop
Marriage
it.
is a stressor. I say marriage, weddings, planning, the ceremony is a stressor. So deep breathing exercise is a relaxation technique. In fact, I teach my patients, and it will just be like magic. Like they will have seen a lot of therapists, a lot of doctors. They will just be giving them drug. By the time I synergize the medication with the deep breathing exercise, it goes a long way. So a lot of people do it. They'll just like, but we assign. Anytime we have things to attend to, we have time bound for our activities when we want to present any stressful situation, even when we're having negative thoughts, apart from neutralization. So I will say it, then I will demonstrate it. And wherever you are, you can try to demonstrate it. If you don't feel as if your breath is seizing, what many people do is sigh. They sigh, they just that one is not deep breathing. In fact, when I tell my patients to do what they demonstrate what they know as deep breathing for me, they'll be sighing. So you take in that deep breath with your nostrils, you hold your breath for like 5 to 10 seconds. Then you now breathe out with your mouth as if you are making a sound. So I tell people, even me that I'm teaching you guys, I tell people to do it routinely. Like you can do it maybe 2 minutes in the morning. Like you do it because in 2 minutes you can do like 5 or 6 deep breathing exercise, or maybe like 10. And you should attach it to particular time. Maybe when you want to go and bathe, when you're in the bedroom, you can just do it. Do it. Or then maybe when you want to take your lunch, before you take your lunch, you just do it, and then maybe dinner. So that when the time of using it comes, it will be easy for you to do it. So I want to demonstrate it now. Not that you are raising your muscle. If you do like this, you will have pain. They are just raising your chest muscles. But naturally, when you take in deep breaths, your chest will rise. I mean, because oxygen is coming in, right? Psychologists believe that, when you take in that deep breath, oxygen will circulate. You're taking in good energy. And when you breathe out, you're breathing out bad energy. So you must have that feeling that they need to do something about my breath, or my breath is seizing, or I need fresh air. You must have that feeling. If you don't have that feeling, that means you're not doing the deep breathing, right? So I want to demonstrate it again, then you demonstrate it at your side. In fact, if you do it very well, to let you know that it is a relaxation technique, you start yawning. There are some other ones, mindful breathing, muscle relaxation, but time will not permit me to teach you. So I don't know. Have you tried to demonstrate it where you have? I think I have come to the end of my discussion. Thank you, everyone. I'm done. Moderator.
Thank you so much, ma. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to unmute myself. Ma, we are so honored and so blessed by the section, ma. And we really learned a lot because you asked earlier, you said that we really got value for our time. In fact, as you were talking about the developmental challenges and things to watch out for, you know, in please, can we all hear me, please? I want to be sure. We can all hear me.
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you.
All right. So when she was talking about the developmental changes to look out for, a child at 1 year should have been making 20 words at 2 years. And I was just personally taking notes because when a speaker is speaking, you pick what actually resonates with you a lot. And I really learned it. And the food aspect of it, hey, the Lord have mercy. And we are eating 75% of carbohydrates and 2% of protein. So I know it's no easy, but as we have been advised this morning, we should take our health very, very seriously, and we should spend money on vegetables and fruits. It helps a lot. It helps a lot. Thank you so much, ma. Please let me to give our speaker a round of applause. Please, we honor you, ma, and we celebrate you. So before we'll be rounding up this first section for this morning, I will want every one of us to have questions. Please feel free to ask now. This privilege is meeting people like Dr. Shade, and at this moment like this, it's a real privilege. I must tell you. All this that she has dished out. If you have gone to our office to get consultation, you will be paying so heavily. So please, let's ask questions and let's take advantage of this to not bringing her here. And let's ask our questions. Let's push anything, any comments we have. So before we bring in, I think now I will bring in our dear convener, Mrs. Itunuoluwa, up to give us how the program will go throughout today and that how tomorrow is going to look like as well. So in that, as we do that, please let's kindly drop our questions on the platform. Ask any question that is very, very pertinent to yourself or that you sense that you will need clarity on so that we can all be blessed by it. Ma, once again, we are so
Thank
grateful
you.
and honored to have you. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. And I've been truly, truly blessed from your presentation. Honestly, truly, truly blessed. I am as I'm listening to you, I was also praying for the participants that they will understand and actually really get their own, like, from this presentation. A lot of things jumped at me. And I was talking with the person I'm sitting with, in the office, that I'm seeing a lot of topics that we are going to be exploring for singles coming next year from just your presentations. A lot of things. And one thing that I would like to highlight mostly is the fact that we inherit some things from our parents, maybe illnesses, medical issues, and all of that. That doesn't make that we would have it 100%. But our awareness about it will help us to posture ourselves and to change a lifestyle. And sometimes we may not even inherit something, but because the experience of our parents, maybe a parent, so God forbid, had a cancer or something, had diabetes and everything, and it does not necessarily have to run in generation or lineage, but because probably maybe their lifestyle predisposed them to it, and we have seen them live that lifestyle, and we see them model that lifestyle, there is likelihood that we will also repeat that experience, just because our childhood experience also form our adulthood. So the way our parents or people that lived with us, live their life, can actually be passed down to us, predisposing us to some of these illnesses and medical issues. And that is why knowledge is important. Reflection is important. Reflection is awareness with intention. Thank you so much. We can't thank you. I can go on and talk about everything I've learned from your presentation, and that will even land us to another presentation. Thank you so, so, so much. And you mentioned something that is even like a pain to me, because I have a shared experience, by understanding, neurodevelopmental milestones and everything. We'll be discussing a lot of these things in post-conference, seminars and workshops that we'll be having for our singles. We really honor you. Thank you. It's a privilege and honor to have you today. Thank you so much, Dr. Folashade. And in the evening, please, I beg of us, every one of us here, I beg you, don't miss the evening session for anything. It's going to be power-packed, and we trust God for impartation. Just like what Dr. Folashade said, breaking back patterns is not just, reflection alone. It has to come with illumination from God, and it has to come from empowerment from God. Please Don't miss evening sessions for anything. It's going to start by 6 p.m. and end by 7:45, 7:50 thereabouts. Thank you so much. I will hand you back to our hosts.
All right. We are so glad to have you, ma. Please, I want to say this before we go in. We'll be running up now, and we'll be handing over the
Sorry,
shot.
the moderator.
All right, ma.
You only emphasize the evening session for Reverend Ebenezer Diaolu. What of the 6 to 7 p.m.?
Yes, I mentioned it. It's 6 to 7 p.m. My husband's session, Pastor Samson Onifade to 6 to 7, and then 7 to 8. We have 2 sessions. Yes.
You only emphasize the one of 7 to 8.
No.
Exactly.
No.
All right, ma.
Thank you, man.
Ma, thank you so much. I think I've sat with Dr. Shadi before. I'm just looking at her face now to be sure she's the one. Thank you so much for coming up this morning, and we are blessed to have you. So now,
sorry, moderator.
All right.
We have a question in the chat box on the WhatsApp group. I'll put inside the chat box, so you can please read it out.
All right. So
I think someone by Beck raised a hand the other time. So let's attend to this question.
Okay, Dr. Shade, please, can you listen to me, ma? Can you hear me, ma? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. He said, what type of food are regarded as vegetables? That was the question. What type of food are regarded as vegetables?
Will I define it now? I should give example.
Yes, example, ma.
You don't know
Example will be very
vegetable
precise.
like ugu, spinach, like any form of green. Do you get all those stuff? Then even there are some fruits that are vegetable too. Carrots, okay, garbages, cucumber. Okay, so the green, the leaves themselves, we have different ones. Ugu, efotete, different ones. Then the fruit, vegetable includes fruit too. It's not just the leaf alone. Okay, so all these there are some that you get them from all these mala. I'm trying to call this one that looks like a mushroom, but it's not mushroom. I've forgotten the name. So fruits too are included, right? Cucumber, pineapple, pawpaw, watermelon, okay? So, and then the fruit, so it depends on your, the condition of your health. So, for example, people that have ulcer, okay, your rate of taking acidic fruit, right? For example, oranges, it won't be much. Even pineapple too. Okay, so you will take more of fruits that are not really acidic. Okay, like the ones that contain more of fibers, like cucumber, like watermelon. You understand? So it depends on your physical health status too. Those that are diabetic, so they can't really take the ones that are very, very sweet like that. Mm-hmm. Like you can't be taking a lot of pineapple. You'll be taking more of garden egg, more of all those ones that are not really sweet like that. So it's not vegetables alone, it includes fruits.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you, ma.
So please let me read out the schedule to us. Then I will be bringing in our convener to pray while we all go for this morning. The schedule for this morning, we had the first section we had was by Mrs. Onifade, looking back at the skill of reflection on the past, and it was a huge blessing. And the one we just mentioned is Dr. Folashade Omokoro, understanding pathological patterns that can run in families. Then, by God's grace, in the evening by 6 p.m., we'll be going into Pastor Samson Ibade's section, understanding your unique identity and purpose as it separates from the family of origin. Then, by the grace of God, 7 to 8, it will be Reverend Ebenezer Diaolu, breaking negative generational pattern. And I am sure that it's going to be a power-packed one. And by the grace of God, tomorrow, you can join us both online and physically tomorrow at Surulere. By the grace of God, we will be there together. We'll be enjoying ourselves. So, Ms. Itunu, please kindly come on and pray for us as we round up this morning section.
Oh, thank you so much, Lord, our Father. Thank you for how you have helped us. You know that you have blessed us so that we will not stay ignorant and perish. And that is why you have blessed us with these teachings. Father, help us, oh God, not only to hear, but to put it into practice, to engage the skill of reflection and use it to bless our lives and generation coming after us in Jesus' name. In
Amen.
Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone.
See you in
Please
the evening.
yeah, we'll see you in the evening. Good day. Bye for now.
Thank you. Yeah.